Hey, my name is Ivy Starnes, and I'm a gaited horse trainer in Fort Worth, Texas. Today we're talking about how to get the trotty gaited horse to be smooth. Again, we know there are many pacey horses, and it's uncomfortable, and we know how to get the pacey horses to start getting gait, which is like head down, use the poles, stop and back up. But those things don't work for the trotty horse. So what exercises can you do that will help you get your trotty horse to gait? And there's a few. And I'm going to be talking about one specific today, or I'm going to tell you about the different ones, but I'm going to show you one today. And then talk about the other methods and techniques. The main technique we're going to be use is a way to get the trotty horse, who is usually round or square. We're going to get him to hollow his back a little bit. Now, this is the part that I have the most trouble with. The most trouble I have is that people assume that when I ask for a high head, which I'm going to, and you'll see why in a minute, that that's the finished product, and they think that I am going against what I've taught before, which is the low head and relaxed horse. Well, it's not. What I'm going to show you is the beginning of the training, where you see the messy, yucky part, but I want you to know that if you continue with it, you get the nice, relaxed, calm horse, which is what we all want. But a lot of people will tune in and they'll see me ask for the head up and they'll be like, wait, Ivy, you ask for head down. Yes, I do. And it's actually still super important that you ask for head down with the trotty horse. What happens is we get a trotty horse. Let's say the trotty horse is relaxed and he will put his head down, which is great. And then what we do is we ask him to put his head up, and then once we get a couple steps of gait, we do what? Oh, come on. I know you guys know. A lot of you are already saying it. Stop and praise. But if you have a horse that's more hyper, and the horses that you see this the most would be maybe Icelandics or Pasafinos or Peruvians, but it can happen in any breed, is that they'll trot, but their head will be up and they'll be pushing down the base of their neck. And then in that case, we're not pulling the head up, doesn't usually work yet. So the trick is to teach them to be soft in the bridle, to give you vertical flexion, bring that nose in toward the chest, and then when you release the reins, they drop the head. Once you get that, then we're ready to move on to the next thing, which is working on getting the head up to get those couple steps of gait. Now, super important with trotty horses, you need to ride them on the smoothest ground possible. I actually like to ride on asphalt or a dirt or a gravel road, something hard and flat. And there's two benefits. Trotty horses, if you ride them on any ground that's uneven or deep footing, sand, snow, tall grass, it's going to push them more trotty. Just like that same footing pushes pacey horses into a gait or a trot. It will make those trotty horses more trotty. So you have to find the flattest, smoothest ground possible to ride. That's imperative. And the last horse you're going to see, I was riding her on the grass, but she was trotty, so I actually moved to the road and she made a lot of progress. This is super normal and happens all the time. So be aware that I'm going to be pushing for you guys to ride where it's hard and flat. I don't remember what my next thing was going to be, but that's the first thing. That's super important, that trotty horses need smooth surface. Pacey horses benefit from going through snow and tall grass, but not trotty horses. So again, with the trotty horses, we're going to work on head down, and I've got the free head down training video. That's just like pacey horses. You train them the same way. All right, so hi, Chrissy. She said she was going to be listening. And Carl and Tracy says hi. Susan says hi. Mia from Ohio says hi. And Lynn from Middle Tennessee says hi. What a beautiful day. It is. Today was like 62 degrees out, so it was super nice here in Texas. And we had snow on Sunday, which was beautiful. So I get the best of both worlds right now. Okay, so we're going to look at Jack. Jack is a Rocky Mountain gelding, and he is pacey and trotty. I'm going to show you the finished video. This is what he was gaiting after 6 days of training. And I'm also going to show you the first day video where he was pacey and trotty. And hi, Alice. We're going to be showing Alice's horse a little bit later in this video. So we're going to show you, I'm going to show you him gaiting now. And then I'm going to show you him what he looked like on the very first day I rode him, which is Pacey and Trotty. And as soon as he dropped his head, he moved toward the trot, which is excellent. I've had lots of people work with their Pacey horses, get them trotting, and then it's easier usually to get them into gait if they've gone into the trot rather than staying in the pace the whole time. So here is the finished gait with Jack. This is on day 6 of his training for gait.
All right.
That's a beautiful saddle rack, which is what I'm teaching him, or the saddle gait, whichever you prefer to call it. You see his head is not super high. It's not down to the ground. I would love to see it a little bit lower, but this is only on day 6 of gaiting. You can see a nice little tail bob, which you often see from the Rockies. Stop and praise. Really nice little gait there. Nice little bit of speed. He's probably going about 7 miles an hour. So again, that's after just 6 days of working on the gait. Okay, so there you go. That then it goes into showing him with the tarp. But so that is what it looked like on day 6. Now, I did a lot more groundwork with this guy, specifically on being less mouthy, not even on working on the gait, just regular groundwork. So what you're seeing is a big change with just 6 days. Now, the reason I'm using Jack is because I videoed every single day's training session with the GoPro for my helmet. And all of those sessions are already uploaded on my private training group. So if you do join, or if you are joined, you have access to those videos right now and you can see the whole process. A lot of it involves stop and praise. And what I think you would be amazed at is how much I stop and praise him and how long that is. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of that. So we have Tracy says, or she was tagging a friend. Linda says hi from Maine. Vicky says hello from Grand Washington. Katie from California. And Lori says, I'm looking to buy a quiet Rocky. Well, Lori, I might be able to help you later. You can message me. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what he looked like. Briefly, someone just mentioned they have a Tennessee walking horse. This works no matter what breed you have. In case you're wondering, whether you have a Paso, an Appaloosa, a Foxtrotter, McCurdy plantation horse, this works for all breeds, and I've done this with virtually, I think, every single breed of the Maine gaited horses. I have used this technique and training. So I'm going to show you day 1. This is the very first day that I rode him, and you're going to see that he's pacey, and then once we work a little bit on head down, he gets trotty. So here you go. This is earlier in the spring compared to those other videos. So here I speed him up. You can see it's the pace because the legs on the one side swing forward and land together. His head's up pretty high. He didn't learn how to soften his nose. He's just very, very stiff and pacey. And again, some of your horses might be stiff and pacey, but actually but if you teach them softness and put the head down, they might actually move toward the trot, which is a good thing, because once you get that, you apply these techniques and you'll very quickly get a nice smooth gait. Again, what you're going to see with Jack is done only in just 6 rides. Again, I just wanted to show you that he was pacey at the beginning. You can occasionally see a couple steps of gait, but nothing is consistent. Now here it is about 5 minutes later, and you can see he's gaiting a couple steps, and now it's just the trot, which you see I'm posting the trot or doing a rising trot. I'm doing that because I want to encourage him to do the trot over the pace. And some of you riders might be like, why would you want that? The trot's awful. I go, the pace is awful. If I can't get him out of the pace, then I can't make any progress. But I praised him for trotting. And you'll see me do that at clinics as well. If I can get the horses out of the pace and into the trot, I'll sit up and forward, do the rising trot, or go into 2-point to let them stay in that trot, and especially if they can put their head down, which we've been working on with him right here. I'm asking him to drop that head before I ask him to speed up. The reason this is important is some of you may have pacey horses, and once you do head down, you may get some steps of trot. The other reason it's important is your trotty horses may move a little bit pacey, and the solution to fix that is to ask for that head down, just like I'm doing here. So if your horses get pacey, do head down. And if they get trotty, you're going to be putting the head up, and more about that shortly. Again, I'm working in the short grass, as short as possible, but then when I do the real training with this guy, with Jack, I go on the road where it's flat and smooth. And he has a nice little trot. I'm trying to just let him move in it, asking him to soften, just looking for that softness to come through, then stop and praise for that. And a little bit more trot. He's going into it really easily, not going into the gait. His head's all over the place. He's not consistent. He got much better, but early on, this is kind of what we saw. So let's talk about what you do want to do. So when you've got your horse relaxed, they'll soften. Here's an important thing too, is when you're doing this, this needs to be done in a bitless bridle or a snaffle. The reason is we are going to be putting our hands forward. You can't really see. Put your hands forward, and you're going to be pulling up on the reins. If you have a shanked bit in their mouth, you are going to be causing them to curl and want to drop. And that's the incorrect response. We actually want their head to come up. And the reason is because we want them to hollow their back just for a little bit of time, just to get them out of that trot, is to break it up by lifting the head up, but it's not permanent. We don't want their head to stay up. Pamela says she's a Tennessee walking horse owner, new to gaited, learning so much. Thanks for all the videos. You're very welcome, Pamela. Jen says, you're not kidding. The trot on my girl is rough. That is so normal. Most gaited horses' trots are so rough. Chris Ann says hi from North Dakota. Amber says hi from Virginia. Tracy says, is a horse ever too old to fix? One of my Tennessee walking horses is 20 and very trotty. No, actually, I was in Colorado and did a clinic on, I think it was a 19-year-old Rocky. And she had been ridden by people who rode quarter horses, and she had literally been trotted her whole life. She'd been trot her whole life, and I had 1 hour to see if I could make a change. It took the entire hour, but I started getting some steps of gait, and I know if I'd spent 2 weeks on her, I could have gotten her gaiting. So, yes. Sherry says hi from Alberta, Canada, and she signed up for the clinic in June. Awesome. I can't wait to meet you in June, Sherry. All right, so the reason we put the head up is because we want them to hollow their back just for a little bit of time. This is not permanent. This is just to change how they move their feet. Because, of course, the question everybody asks me is, can I use poles to get a trotty horse to break up the trot? And that doesn't work. It gets them to be more trotty. Terry, he has a question, how do you change a pacer? Terry, I have a lot of videos on this page. Please go back and review the past videos. And there's a whole bunch that talk about how to change a pacey horse to get him to gait. So with pacey horses, you can use things like lateral work and ground poles and deep sand or tall grass or snow to break up that pace, but it doesn't work for the trot. It pushes them more trotty. So it's super important to find a way to get them to change. And then once they make those couple steps of change, we need to stop and praise. All right, so the technique we're going to use a snaffle or a bitless bridle. We're going to ask them to speed up into gait. If they gait, we are going to stop and praise like that. If they trot, what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands forward, and we're going to pull up on the reins. We're not going to shake them. We're not going to think about it. We're just going to put our hands forward, and we're going to pull up with the goal of getting their head higher. And as soon as they give us 1 or 2 steps of gait, which if you ride on the road, that was the other thing I was going to say earlier. When you ride on the road, you can hear it. Not only is it flat and smooth and good for trotty horses, but you can hear when it goes from a clop, 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 clop of the trot to a pucka, pucka, pucka. When it changes sound, that's when you stop and praise immediately. Okay? So what we're going to do, speed the horse up. If he gaits, we're going to stop and praise. If he trots, we're going to lift our reins up and pull up, keep that pressure on until they change and go into gait. If they pace, we're going to ask for head down. Okay, so now I'm going to play this video. I've got the voiceover already on it. If it's too loud or too quiet, please comment and let me know. So here is the second day of training Jack working on the gait. I'd ridden him on the road a few times, but never working on the gait, just going out for a hack, just going out for a ride to get him used to things. So this is the first time I rode him working on the gait. So check this out.
So we start out at a nice walk. I rode him in the pasture for like 30 seconds, made sure he was listening, and he was. There he has a very nice head down. My goal is always to start out at a walk on a loose rein. Now I have to use my reins to steer, but I'm not holding him back. Good boy. Now it's also important to work on head down when you speed up, and we've already done that. Good boy. So I'm going to speed him up here. If he gaits, we're going to slow down and let him eat some grass. Or try to let him eat grass. There's a trot, so I'm going to lift up. Goal is to get his head up. You can hear that clop, clop. There he switched to a pace. And back to the trot. Now the other thing too is I'm going to keep him going. So now he's pacing, trotting. Yeah, right there is a little better, so we're going to stop. This is how I stop. And this is important because a lot of people seem to have difficult standing, either in the pasture or on the road or the trail. Now, it's one thing if the other horses were leaving, but they're not. Stand, go on the buckle, loose reins, take a deep breath, intend to stand and praise him. That's the goal, is to stop and praise. I know. He's like, but we just started our ride. I know, but he is willing to stand, and that's the important part. I won't make him stand for too long when we've just started out. I don't want to frustrate him. Good. So I'll lift my reins up just a little. Yes, there's a couple steps of nice gait there. So we'll take him over here. Oh, okay. He has to learn that it's okay to eat grass when I tell him. We go over to the side. Okay. Know some of the grass? Good. So for gaiting, he gets to come over and take some bites of grass. Or dandelion leaves, as it would seem. And he gets time to chew them, if he'll stand. Most horses are very willing to stand if you make it worth their while. Most horses learn to stand within a matter of 10 minutes or so riding with me, and not because I make them work a ton, but just because its standing is good. It's a break. Yes! Good boy! So there was a few steps of gait. So we'll take him back over here, to the side of the road. Good. Yes. And he'll start to get the idea that if he gaits, we're going to eat some grass. He's not, of course, tired. The goal is to give him a mental break and to have a way to communicate when he does the right thing. So there, I asked him to go into gait with a little squeeze with my legs and a cluck. And I lifted my reins up because he wanted to trot. And by lifting my reins up, it's just meaning, put your head up, not head down. And it's not, we don't want him to keep his head up, but just to get him out of that trot. But he can walk with his head wherever he likes. Walk. Good. So I gather my reins up. Walk. Lean back a little bit because he's trotty. Trot. Lift up. Yes, yes, good boy. Good. And whoa. I'll try to find a spot where there's good grass for them to want to eat it. In the spring, it's really easy because there's tons of fresh grass and they really want it. If you live at a place where you don't have a lot of grass, you can carry food with you, even if it's chopped hay or grain or some treats. It helps the training a lot. Walk. Now I didn't ask him to speed up, so I'll ask him to walk there. Good. Because again, I want him to walk and gait, but on cue. Good. Trot, lift up. I'm actually pulling up on my reins. There's the pace. See how his head came up? Yes! Good. So in between, after he switched to the pace, I asked him to drop his head. Oh, okay.
So there you go. That was Jack, the very early on part of working on his gait. The crazy thing is, I watch that video now and go, wow, he was making so much progress. At the time, it felt like we weren't making any progress at all. And I want that to encourage you because you're going to feel like you're not making progress. But if you're willing to give it a few days, you're going to see a change. Rhonda's, let's see, I have to go back a little ways. Ginger says, how much are your online one-on-one classes? It depends. It depends on what kind of classes you want. If you want to send me videos, right now it's priced at $200 for 6 lessons. Rhonda says hi from Southern Ohio. Terry asks about clinics. I do travel for clinics. I have 8 scheduled right now and possibly adding 2 more. Most of them are filling up quickly. Most of them are actually full already, but there are some spots open. Megan says hi from Plain, Washington. She said, I have a 15-year-old Missouri Foxtrotter. He was quite trotty, but as I've been working on him for a year, with my help, Ivy's help, he is getting a smooth gait. Good job. That's awesome. It is to stick with it. Great job. Pamela says, am I settled in and ready to come to Houston? Well, I am settled into Fort Worth. Depends on what I'm doing in Houston. I'm not opposed to coming. Cynthia says hi from Hillsbury, Missouri. And Betty says, I needed to see this from the rider's perspective. Thank you. You're welcome, Betty. More videos coming from Jack, so stay tuned. Copy is watching from Hillsboro, Missouri. A couple people. Terry's asking about the panhandle of Florida. I don't have anything in Florida. I am going to be doing a clinic in Georgia near Atlanta, which I know is not necessarily close, but that'll be in October, almost certainly. Terry says, I have a Rocky who, when I ask to gait, she always offers a trot first. I can pull back on the bit in the rein. She'll tuck her nose in and gait, but I don't feel her back coming up. Another idea, I'm going to stop and start her again. Well, Terry, briefly, I don't believe in the stop and start unless you're, I will slow down and ask for head down. It's a matter of getting the horse balanced and lifting the back, and just pulling the nose in is not going to get them to lift the back. I've got more videos on collection and things that will apply soon, but let's keep going. So this next video is from day 4 of training the gait. So a couple days after, still working on the road, same kind of thing. I'm going to just show you a brief clip, and then we have day 6, and then I have another horse to show you, and then I'm going to talk about more techniques to use to get the horse gaiting other than just this one. So here you go, day 4.
So your horse doesn't think all you're going to do is gait. Good. Little trotty. So lift my reins up a little and use my legs to say go forward. Little trotty. Yes, right there. Good. So this time we'll just let him walk. And he put his head down, which is awesome. Good job. Good boy. Easy. And when you walk, make sure you walk more than just 10 feet. Let him walk and think about it. Yes. Good boy. Good boy.
That was that was day 4, not quite finished, but definitely progress, more gait. And that's only in 4 days of riding. And again, most of these sessions are short, 20 minutes long, that's it, and I come back. Some of them were 15 minutes long. And already we're seeing a big change in how much he's gaiting. So I'm going to show you day 6, and then I'm going to show you another horse, and we're going to talk about some other techniques as well.
Slow down. I slow him down with the reins and then I release.
Thanks for bearing with me.
Good. Loose reins. Slow down. Your shadow. Doesn't that look nice? You hear that pucka pucka? Good. Yes. Nice. Okay. Nice job. Slow down. Again, we're just riding in a snaffle. So I'm gently pulling to say slow down, and then I loosen the reins. Beautiful. boy. And walk. Good boy. So much gaiting today. Good job. Excellent. So good.
That's the gaiting that you have on day 6 right there. And that's just 6 days, and I wanted you to see that. Now you notice that
All right.
at this time I'm not pulling his head up to get gait. I was near the beginning, but I'm not right now. Mostly I'm just letting him go and controlling the speed. You'll see me correct it a little bit as he gets a little bit trotty, but then I'll give him a looser rein because the goal isn't to have the head up high, which a lot of people think when they see this technique. Let me go back and answer a couple questions. She says, I need to see this from the rider's perspective. Chrissy says it's so reminiscent for her and her horse, Callie. A year ago, they were foxtrotting. Yeah, they were. I went and we did a clinic, and since then, Chrissy has gotten her horse gaiting beautifully. What breed is he? He's a Rocky Mountain. I'm going to show you another horse in a minute who's a rescue. So Jan says, hello from Fairgrove, Missouri. And Jonah says, great info once again, thank you. All right, let me show you this other horse. It's more from the ground, so you get to see the difference. I have to make a quick adjustment because I know it's messed up here.
Good, head down.
I'll
Wait.
fix this right here.
Wait.
This will be faster. So this horse that I'm going to show
this
you,
is a different horse.
this
horse
is
just had
Voodoo.
2 1-hour sessions in a day.
She is a rescue with Bluebonnet rescue horses. And we don't know quite her breed, but she is a rescue, and they have a lot of other horses that can be rescued, and it's quite the story that she has. She's more of a Missouri Foxtrotter type, but hard to say exactly what her breed can be. She's Trotty. In this video, we're riding in the grass. Now there's a mowed track around the outside here, but it's still not flat enough to work with a Trotty horse. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. This video is a little clip that will be in my next training DVD, which I'm still editing, but will hopefully come out soon, though I know I've been saying that for a while. But this is part of the section that's talking about Trotty horses. The previous horse, Jack, is a Rocky Mountain, and you can see the complete training of him on my private training group. So go ahead and take a look at this video, and then I'll answer some more questions.
So this horse is definitely gaited some, but is pretty trotty. And this is a really good example to show you why it's important to work horses in a flat, smooth area. So this is a trimmed area along the outside of the fence, but then the ground inside that area is pretty rough and uneven, and even the mowed area is rough and uneven, making this horse have a very difficult time getting out of the trot. Because when I speed her up, mostly she just goes into a trot. A little bit of a gait there, but pretty trotty. And it's just hard for her. I mean, she's got a little bit of that head nod as the foxtrot's coming through a little bit, but she's trotty right there. So what I ended up doing is we moved to the road. Didn't change anything else. Just moved to the road and was able to see some progress, though you can still see she was trotty. But the flat, even area made it much easier for her to focus on her feet and not have to worry about lifting them by going over rough ground. Remember early on in training to not ask for too much. See this? This is almost a gait. It was still a walk, but she was like right at the edge. So I stopped and praised, and in her case, gave a treat because of that. And again, this is, I think this is the first or second hour of the training of working with her because we only did 2 1-hour sessions. I'm not sure if this was in the morning or the afternoon. And it's remembering to praise for the little things. That's really what helps the horses pick it up quickly. And you're going to see, she's a good example because she trots and paces. And I want you to see that. There's a little bit of a foxtrot. See that head nod coming through? It'll see a little bit easier when it comes back here. And a little bit I'm talking, so I'll try to make sure it's not too distracting.
That's lovely. Good girl.
So right there was a gait.
That if I just keep stopping and praising for those few perfect steps, she's going to give me more. That was just beautiful. Good girl. Good job. Yeah.
I love that she stands still.
Oh, I tell you what, me too.
Because, like, I have that Arab cross that...
Does it?
No, it never. I mean, it's just always a...
She's
fidget.
Well, I mean, just quickly getting the gait. I mean, you've done good work, and even though she was trotty and we don't want her to trot, she's changing very quickly. Like you said, you've gotten her to gait in long periods. We just need to get that more consistent.
That's a perfect gait.
Yeah, I hear it go like from 4 beat to
And right there, it turned to a trot.
the more, yeah.
That's
You can
lovely.
hear it go da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
So there I was asking her to lift her head to maintain it, but I didn't ask her to keep going. I did ask her to gait a little bit, but not as far as some people would. It's so easy to push for too much. It's one of the most common things I hear. I know I've said it before, but so many people, when they feel that nice gait come through, they don't want to stop and praise. They just want to let the horse go, but that won't help you get
I
gait
learned how to
long
use it
term.
before I could read.
That's perfect. See, my hands are down. Slow.
Loose
See how
reins,
slow
right?
it is?
Right.
Good.
Perfect.
Lovely. And again, it's
And
slow.
you could hear it. I'm
But
going
I
to play
tell
it
you
again
what,
so you
this
could hear
horse-
it.
Okay, if you brought it to me for 7 days, we'd hit 8 and 10 by the end of 7 days.
So I said 8 and 10 miles per hour. I love this horse in case you couldn't tell.
So loose reins, right?
Right.
Good. Lovely. And again, it's slow.
So that's
But I
really
tell you
nice.
what,
It doesn't
this
matter that it's slow at the beginning. Here it is in slow motion. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfectly timed gait. It's perfect. All right, and then we let her have a break, stop and praise. She's very happy to stand, so it's no big deal. If your horse will stand, stand there. If not, don't fight with your horse. You may need to just let your horse walk. If I had a little more time, we'd probably do longer breaks, but also she's doing really well. Anytime you're doing anything that's frustrating the horse, make sure your stops are longer. If your horse is doing really well, make sure you stop and praise, but it doesn't have to be for quite as long. The more frustrated or upset your horse gets, the longer your breaks should be, so that the horse has a chance to relax and calm down, and you do as well. And so again, I'm showing you this. It's the boring part of stopping and praising. You've got to be tired of hearing me talk about it and seeing it, but I want it to like soak into your brain. Osmosis, how long and how often you have to stop and praise. Now, because this horse has already done some gaiting, I do ask her to gait longer than if I was starting with a horse that wasn't doing much gaiting. So if I have a horse that's really trotty or really pacey, when they do gait, I'm only asking for 1 or 2 steps before I stop and praise. They're not ready to give more. This horse is ready to give me a little bit more gait because she's done more gaiting. So I'll ask for a little bit more, but not so much that she's constantly breaking. We want to make it positive for her.
Practice on this,
Yeah.
and then
The
start
audio's
practicing
coming on
that
so you can
kind of
hear the
thing.
footfalls. Little trotty. So see my lift my hands up? Lift my hands up again. I'm going to turn and come back.
It's like she caught herself.
Cluck and squeeze my legs.
Yep, that's
Perfect.
So nice.
Perfect.
Little trotty.
See my hands are low and then they lift up and they go back down.
Little
Lift
trotty.
up and go back down.
Yeah. Good.
Stop and praise for that. That was beautiful. Let's watch that in slow motion so you can see
Yeah,
what my
it was
hands are
just-
doing.
It wasn't even bouncy.
Okay, so here it is in slow motion, mainly because I want you to be watching me here. So as she's gaiting, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. My hands are down. It gets a little bit trotty right here. My hands come up, asking her head to come up. As soon as she smooths back out, my hands immediately drop. Again, her head is pretty high, but I also know that after a few days of this, her head will probably drop back down. There, her head is high, or there, she's like got a little trotty. I asked her to gait, and as soon as she hit that nice little 4-beat gait, you can see me asking her to slow down so I can give her that break. Very, very lovely. Really, really nice. She is a good example of a horse that's making a good change. She is trotty. She has gaited before, and it's not taking very much to get her to change and move differently. But, as I've said before, one of the most important parts is the fact that we stop and praise when we get a few steps of gait. If we didn't, if we just pulled up on the reins, if we just pushed her to go forward, I might be able to get her to gait, but we won't have mentally taught her what we want her to do. Yeah, her feet might be doing the right thing, but mentally, we won't have taught her to gait on a loose rein. And notice, I don't keep my hands up. Beautiful. Yes, trotty.
Lean back.
Little head nod, foxtrot.
Nice. Yay, that's awesome.
Good girl. And it's slow, but
That's very, very good. Let's watch.
7 or 8 miles.
So slow gait on a loose rein. As soon as I feel her get trotty, I lean back.
Lean back.
She slows.
Nice. Yay, that's awesome.
Perfect. Here it is in slow motion. You can watch the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very lovely. A little bit of a head nod means it's a foxtrot. If she gets a little bit trotty, like right here, you'll see I'm going to lean back there physically, and it smooths her gait out, but the reins are loose. That tells her that she's doing the right thing, and I will combine that with stop and praise.
So there you got to see some really nice gait and how much riding on the road made a difference and how quickly the trotty horses can learn to gait, because that happened in just one day. Terry asks, which video should I start with my first for a pacey horse? Yours is a Rocky. The breed doesn't matter. I will try to share some links with you once this video is done. Kelly from Arizona asks if the horse is barefoot. Yes, indeed. And Alice is on here commenting, so if you had more questions about Voodoo, the black and white horse there, she can answer. Lisa says, hello, I'm from New York. Wish you gave classes here. Well, I do have one clinic in New Hampshire coming up. That'll be in July. It is already filled in terms of participants, but you could be on the waiting list, and you can definitely come audit. It's the closest I'll be this year. Next year, I'll try to be Pennsylvania and maybe other places on the East Coast. You are very welcome for sharing. Jan says, am I lifting straight up or back like a half halt? That is a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. So this is not a half halt. It is not. A lot of people are confused what half halt is, but it's not even what most people think of a half halt. I am pulling straight up. I pull back only really if I need the horse to slow down. The reason is I'm trying to get the horse's head to go up. The other thing that I need to mention, and I'm so glad people are asking questions, is a lot of trotty horses will slow down. They often are pokier. What you really need to do is add energy. Go forward right now. If your horse is being slow and pokey, I need to see some energy added. Combine that with lifting the head, and you'll often get a few steps of gait. So great question. Chrissy replied and said, straight up, I had the same question at the clinic in the video we were watching. Yes, you're absolutely right. And she's right. I answered it in the video. So good. The other thing I want to talk about, there's two other things that you can add to this that will help get most trotty horses to smooth out a little bit, but take a little bit longer. You still need to train head down. The other thing you can add is you can add pushing the walk faster. So you can be working your horse, push the walk fast, push the walk fast. If they break to a trot, slow back down to the walk and push it faster. If you start to see a head nod or the walk gets faster, stop and praise. And again, that's super important for the horse to understand what you're asking, is that you don't just keep pushing that walk faster, and hold it for miles. You need to get a few steps of fast and then slow down either to a slow walk or stop and praise. So pushing the walk faster is a way to help trotty horses. Note, I do not advocate this in general for pacey horses, only for the trotty ones. Second, I've seen this work on one or two, but it's always beneficial for the horse to do this, which is lateral work. Getting a leg yield, and specifically not getting the hind end to move over, but getting the front end to move sideways or diagonally. So if you're riding on a straight line, you ask the horse to tuck their nose a little bit, and then you use your leg to ask them to move their shoulder over and forward, really lifting the base of that neck, lift that front end up, and keep going forward at the same time, not getting pokey. That can really help some gaited horses as well. But I wanted to talk about that. So also remember, what surface you're riding on really makes a difference for whether the horse is going to be able to gait or not. If you're riding on a rough surface, a deep footing, rough grass, tall grass, snow, you're really compromising the horse. Ride on a flat gravel road, paved road, dirt road, or the flattest grass you can find. Shortest as possible. And also for trotty horses, usually circles are the opposite of helpful. They are not helpful at all. Generally, you want to do straight lines for trotty horses, with the exception of moving the shoulder over. Chrissy says, that's why I have a horse who walks 5.5 miles an hour. Yeah, because she pushed the walk faster and faster and faster. But she has a horse that has a fast walk and a beautiful gait. And she worked at it. She'll tell you she worked at it all last year. So she worked at it in 2019. We did a couple lessons in the very beginning of 2020, and then she kept working at it all summer, and so her horse is now gaiting really well. Okay, that's about everything I have for trotty horses. That's your overview. And again, if you want to see the complete video training of Jack, you can go to my private training group. All those videos are on there to see the complete training. It's everything I did to get him going from a trotty horse, pacey and trotty, to where he's gaiting really nicely. And a lot of it is stop and praise. A lot of it is lifting that head up when he gets pacey, asking for head down, etc. Next, tomorrow, I'm going to do something new, something I'm going to try to continue doing, which is to do a book review. So this horse, Equusology, Deciphering Human and Horse Typology, is right here. And it's by, well, if I move my hand, Melissa Pierce and Carolyn Fitzpatrick. I was actually mailed this a couple weeks ago and took a while to, no, I was mailed this a couple years ago and took a while to read it. So I am almost done with it. And I'm going to be doing a review of this tomorrow, as well as answering your questions. And that'll be all for this week. Before I quit, let me know if there's any questions about the trotty horse. And again, I've got lots of information on the pacey horse. Remember, the two are different in how we train. Pacey horses, we really want head down, and trotty horses, we work on head up. Pacey horses, we want more rougher surface, like tall grass, sand, snow, anything that breaks it up a little bit, combined with stop and praise. Trotty horses, you want the flattest possible. Pacey horses, you want to sit up and forward when they pace to get off their back. Trotty horses, which I didn't address in this video, you lean backwards to get them to hollow their back a little bit. But once they're gaiting, for both pacey and trotty horses, you sit in a more neutral vertical position and stop leaning one way or the other. Samantha says, love the book review idea. Yep, I've got a few different books to review that I'll be working on that will either directly relate to gaited horses or relate to how horses' bodies move or how you can do better stuff with your horses. And again, these are books that I will be recommending. I'm not getting paid for any of it. I'm just doing it for fun and trying to come up with more things to help you guys have a great relationship with your horses. Hi, Shanna from Virginia and Janet from Southwest Wisconsin. Thank you guys so much for watching, for commenting, for interacting. If this video has helped you, just please share it, and that helps me so much. You guys got this. I know winter is, holding most of the United States hostage, but this too shall pass. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. You got this.